the international community failed to stop a mass murder of the Syrian people. We at NDR discussed a lot if and how we can share the data. For news organization, it's super tricky to share data with third parties. This is because it will immediately bring your journalistic organization into a conflict of interest, and moreover, it can also endanger your sources. And I mean, our business as investigative reporters, our sources is the one thing in our job, and protecting our sources, that is really crucial. Beside of that, in the case of the Damascus dossier, it was a completely different situation, because we know very well how many Syrian families are still missing their beloved ones and searching for them desperately. So we decided to extract all information about individuals that have been disappeared, that have been detained, or that were murdered, killed in custody from the Damascus dossier data. That means from the files, from the intelligence services, but also in some cases we were able to extract information from the photographs. Our colleagues from ICIJ and we collected all these information from the data, put them in Excel sheets and checked them again and again. And then we thought, what shall we do with these data? How can we make them accessible to the Syrian public? And then we started to look for NGOs, especially Syrian NGOs that work very hands-on with the Syrian public. And we looked for a UN body that would also make these data accessible. And then we found 3 NGOs, that is الصحافي, SL Center, and moreover the Syrian Network for Human Rights. And we discussed with them how, if they want the data, how we can share them with them, and if they were useful for these organizations. And the same, we did the same with the UN. So there was a lot of discussion, but I think in this case it was super important to find an agreement. And then I would say 2 weeks in advance of the project, we shared the data. The idea for us was to make the data accessible to as many people as possible. But on the other hand, we couldn't just publish the data in terms of data protection. Let me say one more thing. I can absolutely understand that people are demanding answers, absolutely. And that they want these answers as soon as possible. But I think it's also important to keep in mind that these NGOs are doing a tremendous job and that they cannot answer every request just right away. I mean, things need time. We shared the data with free NGO, right, and with the UN, and the idea was to make the data as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. And I think we found a good solution. And it's also important to keep in mind, IIMP, the Independent International Organization for Missing People in Syria, is working super closely with the Syrian government, and this makes sure that everyone who needs these information can get them, and I hope people will make use of it. There are 2 really important angles in this project. One is that the Syrian public is still searching for answers, right? And many families want to know what happened to their relatives, and they also want to know how the Assad regime worked in practice and who collaborated with Assad. What role played the doctors in the military hospitals? What role played China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, telecommunication enterprises, and so on? But also, who was the supply chain of death? How was the supply chain of death organized? What were the different links in the chain, and so on? And I hope the Damascus dossier can at least give some answers or add some pieces to the puzzle. And the second angle is, I think we as an international community have still not understand what has happened under the Assad regime. And I think there are good reasons for us why we don't focus so much on this topic, because there is a super painful truth in the story of the Assad regime. And that truth is that the international community failed to stop a mass murder of the Syrian people. And I think we must discuss this. And I hope that the Damascus dossier brings this topic again into our mind.